Blessed souls, it is my divine pleasure to sit with you today. I am the magical medium. Welcome to my spiritual guidance channel here on YouTube. Oh, this channel, boy, it's been a long time in the making. I have to tell you, this is a bonus. Even though we are in the fray of the full moon in Leo, today in real time is February 15th, 2022, but I was drawn to this pickup pile like I have not been drawn to anything in a while. I mean, I could go on and on, but I'm just gonna try and put out the highlights. So as you know, sometimes Spirit has me tell you a little bit about this reading and why it came to be, and then, you know, as you go look for whatever messages you need from the piles. But also there are some of you who, you know, maybe you don't want to hear it right now, maybe you don't need to hear it at all. So I like to point out the piles now so that you can, if you just are so drawn to it, I want to point it out now. I mean, it's kind of obvious, you know, if we're going in order, numerical order, but I always like to say from left to right, we have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, and pile number 4. So, sorry, I'm like, I don't want to start my sweater on fire. I just realized. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, as of this moment, I have no idea if Spirit is going to have me put emojis down or not. So, you know, sometimes it's in the number of the pile, 1 through 4. Sometimes it's, you know, the numbers in the timestamp below. It's really, you know, it's your story. I'm just here to be the medium, literally the in-between, to get your messages to you. So that's between you and Spirit. So if you'd like to, you know, have at it, all of my information is in the description box below, and I'll see you at your pile. Blessed be, aho. And then for the rest of you who are still here, I know it just started, but drink some water. Okay, you guys, buckle in because there's a lot of information coming through. As a lot of you have noticed, my channel is evolving, it keeps changing, and it's going to until Spirit tells me not to. They've been having me go through old videos and putting my current information in there now as to not confuse people. It's been an arduous process, but it has been a labor of love. It's also been really cool to go back and watch some of my old videos, and it is true how timeless they are. And may I say, and I say this with all humble soul knowledge and with the most humility I can, there were a few readings that I just was like changing, and then somehow they would start playing or whatever. And I watched some of my old readings and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, they really are timeless. You know, I was like, that's a fucking good reading, man. From myself, from my past self. But it made me also realize, like, there's no such thing as past and present. It's just at the level of our awakening process. I believe our avatars are just there to show us, like, aging, like, you know, from a bebe, you know, to a bebe. You know, I like to channel Moira, and those of you who know Moira know who I'm talking about. You know, and to our elder years. I mean, I fucking love that Betty White left at 99. Are you kidding? Of course she could have stayed to be 100. She didn't want to. She didn't want to. That wasn't in her soul contract. I mean, I could go on and on, you guys. There's just so much magic that's been happening in my world. So I know some of you know this because we're close friends, and some of you know this just because I've spoke about it in your piles in recent weeks. But I have to tell you that my dream state and my awake state are really melding together. I had a really fucked up experience some nights ago that I felt like I was literally in that dimension or wherever I was for days. It felt like a dimension, but at the same time, it felt like my, you know, subconscious. It felt, I mean, it was on so many levels that I don't even know. I mean, Alice in Wonderland, maybe you can compare it to, because like literally like one moment, like my boss was like talking to me, and then his like head shrunk into like an alligator, but it was still his face, but he's like looked like an alligator. I mean, it's just crazy shit. And like Michelle Obama was my boss, but like we worked at this restaurant. She was like the manager. And I was like telling everybody how she was the first lady in my, you know, because that was so fucking real to me. But when I got there, I was like, oh, okay, like, where's this? Like, am I dreaming? What's going on here? Like, now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, am I astral traveling? Am I, you know, and I think that we've been putting these titles on things. And I think everything that we perceive, everything that we know, everything that we dream, everything that we watch, social media, everything, I feel like it's like everything is coming to a head and we're all going to understand it when we get there. But in the meantime, people are freaking the fuck out. People are killing themselves. Crazy shit's happening. I just watched this amazing docu-series called Atlantic Crossing, and it is about World War II and the relationship with the Queen of Norway and Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR. Yeah, I mean, just so much has been going through my mind where it's like, the only time I actually feel free and I feel comfortable is when I'm in meditation in this life. And I say this life in this dimension, yada, 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 because I'm really understanding. I don't even know how to put it into words. So basically, a lot of shit has led me to this moment. And just before this came together, Spirit has been throwing some crazy fucking shit into my orbit, into my path, where I'm just like, okay, all right, what's that? By the way, when I looked down, it was number 656. So if that resonates with anybody, it could be those three numbers together. If you want to look up angel number 656, it could be all the numbers, added together. I mean, I saw these TikTok things, which I'm not on TikTok, and most of you know I was on social media. Even though YouTube is social media, I don't perceive it as the same as like when I was on Instagram and Facebook, and it was all about me and like, just my daily shit. And, I tried to bring it over to my YouTube channel, when I was Lula's Labyrinth, and it wasn't catching on. And I was like, I don't understand, because they were like, no, you're supposed to have this channel. And then I started to realize that I really needed to step away from all that, myself included, and just really concentrate on what's happening in my own personal universe. And it should be, I used to not like the cray cray, but now I'm like, should be cray cray, because I just started to see things from so many different levels. And the shit that Spirit's been throwing in my path from YouTube is kind of like, where I don't even watch YouTube really. Like, I have like meditation people I follow, and I have other readers that I follow, of course, my other senseis, my own gurus and shamans, that kind of thing. But I don't seek out shit. But yet Spirit has in the last 6 months been having me research the weirdest stuff, from the Kardashians to Justin Bieber and his girl, and I don't mean it slight to call her that. Haley, thank you. I couldn't think of her name. I meant that in a nice way, not like that. I know she has her own identity and all that. I'm just talking. And just like things that I'm like, it's such pop culture nonsense that I just don't fucking care. Like, I mean, I wish them all well. I wish them love, but and then recently I saw this thing about where Billie Eilish was attacked by Kanye West, and I'm like, all right, it's gone too fucking far. Like, I was mad at that, and I was mad at that because I think Billie Eilish is really trying to show the world, how imperfectly beautiful it is through her eyes. And I would never speak for her. I don't know her, but there are just certain energies I get from celebrities where I'm like, oh, they're definitely like, put here to trigger this, and they're definitely put here to do that and whatever. And I just didn't want to look at it anymore. So then I realized for months now, I've had no safe space to go, because it doesn't matter if I'm quote unquote sleeping or if I am quote unquote awake in this world, in this reality, in this dimension. So much shit has been fucking changing for me that I don't know. Like, basically, I woke up the other day from that place that I felt like I was there for days. Like, I felt like that was my life. And then I woke up here and it was like I was shaking. I was like, where the fuck am I? How long have I been gone? It was tripping me out. And I looked down and, my husband's sitting on the couch, and he kind of looks up at me and smiles, and I like kind of smiled back, and I was like, what? Like, I don't even remember, because it was like an out of body experience, really. And the long and short of it was that I just realized that none of this is real, but yet it's real. And I know that, and I know I've been saying that. And basically, we all have to come to our own awakening. However, just today, it was like everything kind of came together when Spirit threw these videos in front of me from TikTok, where I guess on TikTok people throw out I was watching something recently, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm really into the TikTok or whatever. And I know Kathy Griffin. Fucking, I love Kathy Griffin. God bless her. I'm so glad she's back. That cancel culture shit is just fucking ridiculous. This like turning people on each other bullshit. I've had enough. So I'm going to be speaking my truth as I see it, as I know it, as I experience it. You may not like it if it doesn't, assimilate with you, so to speak. Please feel free to unsubscribe. Don't watch my videos. That's okay. Everybody's got to be where they need to be. But if you are new here, welcome, and thank you for subscribing, and thank you for donating. You guys have been fucking amazing. I love you guys so much. I'm feeling your energy. I'm feeling your love. I'm feeling the support. I'm feeling that this, like, I don't even want to say tribe, because I just feel like this community is really changing and evolving. And I'm in so much gratitude for you guys for seeing yourselves and seeing me. I saw this really great quote today. And it said, courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear. And that is by, let me get my glasses on, because I just realized that I didn't get my little trusty dusties. That is by Ambrose Redmoon. So I now want to research this person. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear. Meaning, and judgment is about judging others. It's about you coming to the conclusion in your head that our mission here is greater than the fear that is being pressed upon us, that this fighting against each other, watching how World War II began. And of course, I know it was in a docuseries and or miniseries, and I know that everybody has their whatever, but there was a lot of moments where I was really connecting to the story. I was crying so hard, and I was like, wow, was I there? Was I a spirit guide at the time? Of course I probably was. I feel like I have been a keeper of the earth since it was in its inception. If you feel that too, you're not crazy. There's no such thing as crazy. And so basically on this TikTok thing, they were asking people questions, or somebody posed a question: have you ever had a dimensional out of reality experience? I don't know. I'll get a link to one of them, and I'll put it in the description box below. I always like to leave fun little tidbits in there, and all of my information's in there as well, if you'd like to support and contribute. So, and also my email address is down there if you'd like to have a one-on-one spiritual guidance session with me. So yeah, 1343 when I looked down, just some really, that's cool, because I was born on the 13th, and 43 is the number 7, and that's my life path number. But that's what I mean. It's like, I saw something recently where this person was like, I was watching this documentary about how these people are absolutely positively convinced that we are in a computer simulation, that this is not real. And I was like, wow, it was like really blowing my mind. And I've just been researching all these different forms of what's happening right now through this awakening process. And it's becoming so much more deep and exciting and scary. I understand. I understand. but it's also so personal. So I'm just going to speak my truth. And then if it aligns with you, that's great. And if it doesn't, that's fine too. There's a reason why Spirit is having me do these kind of like bonus readings, because it's important that I teach. I feel like the pick a pile readings that I'm doing right now, the 8 readings a month, this is my form of teaching, is through pick a piles. When I started my Patreon channel, I wasn't sure exactly like what was happening or why, but now since they've actually had me pull it off and had me pull all my focus just right here on this right now, I started to realize like, you know, that is my purpose, is to remember who I am. I believe in past lives. I always worked with astrology and the moon and the stars, and I understood certain things. And the more I read up on astrology, the more I research astrology, it feels like I'm learning a language, which it is a language, of course, but I'm saying in the respects of I took 4 years of Spanish growing up, and then I took some French when I knew I was going to travel abroad. So when I was learning Spanish, it came so easy to me. It was, I think it kind of freaked my family out a little bit, or my friends, even to the point where one of my best friends, who I talked to almost every day for like nearly 20 years, she was having problems with her neighbors. They were drinking and fighting, and she's like, I don't think they speak English. And she's like, I've tried to talk to them, and so long story short, we ended up partying with them, and they acted like they were speaking broken English and I was speaking broken Spanish. And but by the time we got to I don't know how many drinks, it was as if something took over in me, and I didn't even know until we left and went up to our apartment, and we were fucked up. I mean, we were drinking, and we went back to our apartment, and we were like kind of brushing our teeth, and I'm this is my memory of it, right? But I just remember she was like, dude, you were freaking me out. And I'm like, why? And she goes, you just like went full blown into Spanish. She's like, you weren't even speaking English for like a long time. And I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, you were speaking English to me, but like you were speaking Spanish, and then you just weren't like, you just like left me out. And I was like, really? And I started laughing, and I realized, because, I took it in school, but my memory, my muscle memory, right? Like that remembered, my brain remembered the how to put a sentence together, how to conjugate verbs, I mean, all that, like, oh, us, almost ice on, like I never knew that was going to be such a pivotal thing, right? Like those things. And then when I took French, I started to realize how similar Spanish and French were, and English, and just how the languages were. And then when I was watching Atlantic Crossing, I just want to let you know, it's obviously they're from Norway, so they're speaking Norwegian, and it was just beautiful to watch it. And I didn't even like notice it after a while. Like subtitles don't really bother me. I think after a while, I don't even notice if I'm looking at the subtitles, and I just like understand them. And I think that we have a capacity to, learn much deeper, and we have a capacity to go much deeper than we were ever programmed to believe. And they don't want us to think for ourselves. But the more we're waking up, the more we're realizing, that shit is like changing. So basically, in these TikTok videos, maybe you've seen them, please always feel free to comment below. But I just thought it was fascinating that when I looked down, it was 1814, if that means anything to anybody. They were very specific about that. It could be a year. Because right now we're talking about, like, it's not just about past lives, it's about dimensional experiences. And on these videos, these people were talking about how they're like, I died, and they're like, but I'm still here. Or this one guy was like, I had a completely different name. And he's like, and now I'm here. Well, when I first started astral travel, well, I should say, let me back up a little bit. When I first started coming into my gifts, like, I've always been this, right? You've always been this. We've always been these entities. However, we come here to kind of forget who we are so that we can remember who we are. And it's through this process of elimination and being human. And part of being human is understanding that it's precious, that this life is precious. And the reason why it's precious is because, if you built something, right? If you built something, let's just say you wanted to bake a cake from scratch. You go to the store, you buy all the ingredients, you get home, you put the cake together, you bake it, you put the frosting on it, and just as you're about to eat it, the dog comes running through, knocks you on your ass, the cake goes flying in the air, it goes smashing down on the ground, and sure, I guess you could eat a little bit off the floor, but no, it was on a glass platter, right? So it like broke into a million pieces, and you're not going to eat that. And you're like, everybody get out of here, this is dangerous, now I have to throw it all away. I love that analogy, Spirit. That was amazing. But you get it? Like, that's what they're saying. So each life is precious. However, that was one of the first things I downloaded when I really started waking up. The second thing I downloaded was Spirit was like, we never die. You just go somewhere else. Like, if your body dies here, like, you'll go somewhere else. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. And they're like, no. They're like, we want you to, like, follow us for a minute. And I honestly realized I didn't get it until recently. And even in this moment, I got a stronger sense of what they were trying to say. I remember they showed me that if someone kills themselves, if they want to die, it's not a cowardly act. It just means in their soul contract on their way here, or before they came here, right? We map out this beautiful plan. Even that person that you bumped into the store that one Christmas for 5 minutes, who changed your life, who turned your frown upside down, that was in your soul contract. You're like, I'll always remember that person. I never saw him again. Are they angels? Sure. Are they someone from a past life? Probably. Are they an ancestor? I betcha. You know what I mean? There's so much magic all around us. But Earth has been turned into a slave planet. And let me tell you, there are real slave planets out in the universe and in the galaxies. Earth was almost like an experiment to see if we were given free will, how things could be. And it's been a labor of love for myself and all others who have helped co-create this planet. And it is an honor to serve. Like, I feel like we are in a war. I cried so many times when I was watching this miniseries about World War II, because it really is about integrity and how we're going to show up for each other and humanity, and how finally, when our backs were pressed against the wall, America's like, you know what? That's it. When the gloves are coming off, we're coming in, right? You can only stay neutral for so long until something really gross starts to happen. So when Hitler came in, people were like, holy shit. And it's interesting how when certain parts of the Bible, they talk about a rise in the Middle East, yet a darkness, right? Yet the darkness that arose was actually in Europe. But what a diversion tactic, right? If you're leaving a legacy for your family through a book called the Bible, written thousands of years ago, 2244, by the way, when I looked down. But was it? I mean, my friend and I one time, over a conversation and a really wonderful dinner, we discussed how we both know that we've astral traveled, that we've time traveled, and they were sharing their time travel experiences with me. And then I said to them, dude, I remember when Jeremy Irons died. I remember because he's one of my favorite actors. I was like, oh no. I remember seeing it all. It was everywhere. It was everywhere that Jeremy Irons died. I remember seeing footage of his funeral. I remember hearing later, like maybe 2 years after he died or whatever, people, talking about him, how he died. And then it was like one day I saw him in like a movie, or it was like I got this movie from the library and he was on the cover, and I was like, oh, it looks kind of modern. But then I was like, oh, but he's been dead. So, blah, blah, blah. Come to find out it was a modern movie. I go to look it up. Jeremy Irons isn't dead. Yet there were people like me that were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Jeremy Irons died. And then it became this whole thing. It was a hoax. Think about how many times, quote unquote, somebody's died. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, it was a hoax. No, they're alive. They're alive. Dimensional travel is real. All of this it's whatever we make it to be. So when people kill themselves, I believe that they go to another life or they go somewhere else. And sometimes we have what they call space fillers, or like a seat filler at the Grammys or the Oscars, right? Seat fillers. right? If somebody has to go to the bathroom, they have somebody sitting in there, because they never, ever, ever, when they pan to the audience, you will never see an empty seat ever. There are literally seat fillers. It's a job. I knew people in LA who did it for a living. It's a very good living, actually. I knew models, actually, seriously, friends of mine that were models and actors, struggling models and actors who did that for a living. So it's kind of the same thing with our souls and our spirit. And when I was watching them, I started to become obsessed. I was watching so many of them. And then this one guy showed a bullet that he's like, I am telling you, I put the fucking gun in my mouth. He's like, it went off. And he was, I mean, it was just like all of these experiences that people were having. And I'm like, yep, yep, yep. Or like night terrors. Like, before they were called night terrors, I didn't know what the fuck was happening to me. I would be awake, but I couldn't move. I couldn't open my mouth. I've been sexually molested by entities and ghosts. I've had the most vile, weird things. I mean, that I've had stories where my family are like, that never happened. I'm like, what are you talking about? So, you know, it's time for us to really dig deep and find out what it is that we need to look at, face, accept. Because courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear. And whatever is happening on Earth in this dimension right now, whether it's happening on multiple dimensions, whether it's happening, I don't know. What I feel is that whatever we are, wherever we come from, maybe we are just one little molecule of billions of us on a little flower, and like Horton Hears a Who. You know, like, who knows? Who knows? That's the beauty of it, is that take the fear out and start having more fun with it. Because when you know you don't die, then it's like, you know, everything's okay. You know, I mean, I've had so many dimensional experiences now that I'm realizing that none of this matters, but absolutely it does matter. Because you worked hard on this cake and you want to eat it and you want to enjoy every bite of it. And, you know, insert whatever that is for you, whatever it is for you. I'm just saying that because to me, a yummy chocolate cake sounds so good right now. You know, so I'm going to go to each of these piles. We're going to talk more about this on each pile. And if you stuck around this long, I have, well, you'll see it at your pile, but there's going to be a fun little guest. I'm hoping he makes an appearance at every pile, but I know he's going to make an appearance at least in one pile. And I'll tell you more about that later. But anyway, I hope it hasn't freaked you out, confused you. There's so much more. I could literally talk about this forever. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. In a week from now, I might be like, dude, I was tripping on acid, you know, but, or maybe I will be tripping on acid. Who knows? But I do know this, that I am not going to allow the darkness or whatever this is that's trying to control this matrix, to control this narrative. They don't belong here. This is not allowed to be a slave planet. No more. We are taking our power back. So right now, my beautiful light workers, if you found yourself on this page, what we are doing here on our mission is way more important than fear. It's way more important than somebody not liking us, somebody not approving of us. It's so much bigger than that. Your superhero inside of you is calling to you. So they didn't give me a theme like whether or not you have to heal something or whether or not something, you know what I mean? All I know is that I have not had the tarot has not come into these readings so far this year. So I feel very blessed and very excited that this particular deck wanted to come in. And I never know, is it Jouy de Vivier? I know, see, I should know, right? But I didn't take French. Now, if I took Spanish, I would know how to do this perfectly. But I think it's Joie de Vivre, I think. Or Jouy, or Jouy de Vivre. So I believe it means the joy of life, tarot. And these cards are so cute. I apologize for the stains. The book is kind of old. I'm not a tarot expert. Spirit doesn't have me read tarot always the same as the standard reading. So feel free to, you know, interpret things as you see them, as you feel them, whatever comes through. Okay? So with all that being said, all of my information is in the description box below. Any other little Easter eggs, as my birthday sister Taylor says. And I will see you at your piles. So thank you so much for being here. All of my information is below. I'll see you in your pile. Blessed be. Oh. Welcome, pile one. So talk about dimensional experiences. I'd like you to meet my friend Greg with 2 G's. The first time I ever went to Seattle to Pike's Place Market, there was an artist there, and I believe his name is Greg. I don't know. I can't see. It's on the bottom. Let me see if we can get in there. See if we can get in there. I don't know how close I can get in there. Can you see that? Oh, my eyes. Tell me what that says. So, I don't remember the artist's name. I glued it onto this piece of artwork. And long story short, he told me his name was Greg, the unicorn. So either the artist name really is Greg and somehow it worked in, you know what I mean? But all I know is he's always been Greg to me. But he's a unicorn on a unicycle. And I fell in love with him instantly. Like the second I saw it, I was like, oh my God, I want like a big painting of that on my wall. And I loved the imagery of it. I loved the fantasy of it. I loved the, the uni on the uni, like, which reminds me of, remember, noonie. You guys remember the typewriter guy from the 70s who used to type on himself from like Saturday morning cartoons? I can't remember. If you remember that, please comment below. Anyway, all I want to say for you guys is that you're not like this is your world, and that's okay. I mean, there's so many things in here right now. Like this was my grandmother's beautiful crystal. They don't want me to move anything right now. They want you to just kind of look at it and just get playful. There's some portal action going on in that rainbow calcite. This magnificent rock, her name is Charlotte. She called to me on one of my hikes. Like, told me her name was Charlotte. She's been with me for a long time now. I got her on one of my birthdays. But inanimate objects have been talking to me forever. I was told I was crazy. I mean, I can go into all the things. And basically, if you chose pile one, you're not crazy. You're fucking awesome. You're a time traveler. You're a warrior. This is like, to even say this is your first time would be like ridiculous. It may be your first time in human form though. There are more spirit guides in human form on the planet right now than ever in history, as far as my soul knowledge understands it. This is just my level of consciousness. You may see differently. I don't know, but that's just what I see. And so they just want you to know, like, when I look down, it was 3252, if that means anything to you guys. I'm kind of on a roll right now. I don't want to stop because Spirit is channeling hardcore. They had me smoke some more cannabis before I started this. So I'm like, I am in channel mode. We haven't even gotten to your card yet. Yes. Yeah. If you name your stuffed animals or had tea parties for all of your dolls, like in G.I. Joe, and was best friends with your teddy, and like it wasn't like they all had to stay in one thing, or you know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel like you guys are also like my uni tribe, meaning like I wouldn't be surprised if we have a lot of people in this group who have aligned with masculine, feminine. If you've fallen in love with the person and not the sex, and you're like, I'm not gay, I'm not straight, I'm not a man, I'm not a woman, I am, right? You're just like, I am, like whatever you are, right? And you fall in love with the energy of people. And you may be somebody who's always, dated the same sex or something, but I'm just saying, like, the energy I get from you guys is just very open, universal, kind, loving, caring, daredevil. This is the first time that I've looked at Greg and saw the word daredevil, but he is, right? He's a unicorn. I mean, it's hard enough to ride a unicycle, but he's got hooves. Let's see if we can get in on that, right? He's like, I'm a damn unicorn. Look at my fucking feet. He's like, and look at me trying to like balance my slippery hooves on these, you know, petals right now. And the weight of the unicorn, right? But it is about balance. So let's get to your card and let's find out. I'm going to actually leave it on a close-up right now. Plus, Charlotte loves attention. I've never, ever known a rock to have this much personality. Okay, so oh, the Queen of Cups. Well, that just doesn't even surprise me at all. The Queen of Cups. Grace. Oh. And look at that. She's got two little fishies, which is interesting because whenever you watch this, it's timeless, of course, but we are actually in real time. We will be in Pisces and on the 19th, I believe. So like in the next 3 or 4 days, we're going to be going into Pisces energy. So, or maybe you're a Pisces or you're dealing with a Pisces. But I'm seeing like things are going to start looking up for you. Also, isn't that interesting? So let me really get in close here because I feel like now I know why this wanted to come in. I wasn't sure why this wanted to come in, but now I see. Whoops, hold on. Okay. I wanted you to have a little more close-up. I'm going to play with the lighting a little bit too. Because what I see is she's looking in. It's definitely a feminine energy, right? Because it's the Queen is representing here. The Queen is also, as far as I understand, the representation of emotions. And cups are a representation of emotions. And Pisces are a water sign, which is a representation of emotions. So it's interesting. I thought for you guys we were going to go into a dimensional thing. But I'm feeling like for you guys, that's where your struggle is. Maybe you're not traveling as much. Like, you know, you may be people who are like, I don't remember my dreams at all. Or you're like, you wake up and like you feel a certain way, but you can't remember what your dreams were. But I feel like some of you too, and I'm not just saying this to be like, you know, on the flip side of, I'm a Swami, 50-50. But no, I really feel like on the flip side, for some of you guys, it's really intense. And you are having a hard time seeing, it's almost like water, like when you're there, like, you know, or maybe you're giving yourself a symbol of water to help you, like, you know, remember like where you are or where you come from. Also, I just noticed that the we've got on the tail there is a heart. Like wearing your heart on your sleeve. And look, there's also like there's little hearts all in here as well. You see that? You see the little ones there? And all these, like, to me, like when I'm looking at their tendrils of their hair, like I can go into all the things about Queen of Cups and maybe they'll have me read the book. I don't know. But right now, when I'm looking at these like tendrils, I almost feel like you have split personality or something. Like almost like what's bleeding over into this world for you guys, which is not really healthy for you, is I feel like you're trying to bring in all of like, do you see how they're like trying, almost like they're trying to get in? Do you see that? How they're almost like trying to get in. And she's looking down and she's like, no, I like it here. It's nice. It's nice. But yet there's like in here, it's like noise, 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 right? From like the Grinch and all the noise, noise, noise. You may feel even schizophrenic. You're not schizophrenic. It's just, I feel like you haven't learned boundaries with your spirit guides and also with the ancestors, you know, maybe you're taking on too much. You know, and also, I know this sucks to hear, and it's not something I've heard in a really long time, but there are some energies that don't want to leave. They're not necessarily bad or evil or dark or any of those labels. They just like to overhelp, and you're allowing them to. Like maybe like a grandmother, which is why I feel like my grandmother came in today. Like this is from my grandmother. I'm going to bring this in. So like maybe there's some, you know, and see how like there's all these facets. It's like, you know, kind of dimensional. You see that? This is kind of like how your brain is right now. And see her, how she's all kind of broken up into like a gabillion people. Yeah, it's because you're realizing that, you know, none of it's real, yet it's real. Like I was saying, if you didn't watch the first part of this, I highly recommend you go back and watch it. And yeah, that feels a little splitting, right? Watching that, it's kind of tripping me out. My grandmother came in so strong, like I could smell her when this started. It was so wild. I love you, Graham. But yeah, it's like some of us are feeling like this right now, right? Like we're like lots of pieces of us, like this Alice in Wonderland vibe. It's a fucking trip. But I'm getting from Spirit that they want us to lean into it. It seems scary. It seems rough. Hold on, I'm going to fix this light. Thank you, Creature. I'm letting my little buddy Creature. Oh, Creature wants to say hello. Hi, guys. He helps keep, it's an old vintage lamp and I love it, but it's kind of broken, so he helps me keep it up. Thanks, brother. Thanks, Creature. Okay, so do you hear what I'm saying? Like, I feel like they just like diverted. The Piscean thing is really coming through though. So you may be dealing with, and it could be a fellow Pisces. I swear, I'm like, is this for me? Because my dad was a Pisces and his birthday is February 28th. So it's timeless, of course, but it's February 15th. So anyway, you know, it could be something like that. But yeah, it's because you're just not dealing with it. You're trying to avoid it or run away from it. You're trying to live in this 3D reality with your friends and your family. Like, I get it. Like, you don't want to leave, right? You're like, but I like it here. And they're like, that's cool. And you can still love them from afar. And, you know, but some of you, you know what you got to do, man. Like, I feel like it's like, you just, oh, when I look down, it was 4131. If that means anything, you can look up the angel number. But this is some intense shit, you guys. Like, this is some intense shit. And if you are feeling like you've got all of these entities trying to break into your head, and even here, it's like, so you've got the heart ones. That's good, you know? And these are nice and they're new growth, or maybe they're old growth. But that's the whole point, is like, there's no time. It's like you're trying to, Spirit's saying, like, you're trying to buy time. If that makes any sense to some of you guys. My throat chakra, like you guys aren't speaking your truth or something. I'm actually going to read, because I love this book from this artist. Hold on. Okay, so the key words in the Queen of Cups from this book are inspiration, loving, intuition, empathy, and artistic. So are these things that you're saying about yourself? So it says, Queen Grace gazes into her bowl of water, reflecting spiritual wisdom. She's a mermaid of the vast ocean of love, deeply connected to the subconscious. With a heart full of poetry, she sings her song of inspiration in a dreamlike state of being. Be guided by your inner voice and treat yourself with love and compassion. Practice an equal blend of intuition and wisdom in all situations. The balance of heart and mind will keep you inspired without allowing a world of fantasy to take over your life. Yes, especially if you're living in an old energy, an old memory. If you're replaying the Groundhog Day pattern in your head, or things aren't moving forward in your life and you're miserable, it's like, they're like, because you've outgrown that, or it's done, like that programming's done. You don't have to accept everything. And also, I just noticed this beautiful like amulet there. Like, I feel like you guys are really old souls, old witches. I feel fairy energy, sprite energy. I mean, not just the cards, because the cards are so whimsical. I mean, obviously the mermaid, you know, imagery. Ooh, when I looked down, I was like, I thought I saw 43, but I saw something else. So there's some, you guys are magical. You got a lot of things going on. I want to see if Spirit wants to pull any more cards for you guys. Okay. So we got the Seven of Cups, a wish. The only problem is it was upside down. So it could even be that maybe in this life that there's something that you really want. There's a wish that you've been hoping and praying and waiting for. You're like, when's it going to be, you know, my turn? When's it going to happen? You know, and Spirit's like, you're not looking at it the right way. Sometimes we have to look at it through another point of view, right? Ooh, look at that. Like it bumped into you. And look at that. She's got there's 7 cute little birds and little energies. I don't even know. I think this is a ladybug. It looks like ladybug and bird. And each little energy is trying to give her something. And that's what I feel like Spirit's trying to do. They're trying to get you to really expand your consciousness, your mind, your experiences, and whatever loop you're in, you're not gaining any growth because maybe you're actually not allowing yourself to like go to these dimensions. Maybe you're, I mean, even in here, like I'm like, what is that? Are those clouds? And I was like, oh no, it's just the way the light is hitting, the picture. It actually isn't. It's completely different imagery, right? But they're saying it's all in the way you look at it. Like this looks like clouds. So what have you wished for? Because I feel like it's coming for you, but it's like, see, it's almost like she's pushing it back though, right? She's like, nope, get away from me. No, I don't want it. See, she's like, her hand's like almost like pushed away, like, nope, no, thank you. And, she's pushing him away. He's like, hey, but I've got this view. And they're like, oh, I got the snake and the snake right there. I mean, that's about shedding your skin and becoming new. She was in reverse. So it's like your wishes aren't coming true because you're not allowing them to come to fruition. And it's because you may have an imagery. Maybe when you were 7, you had a vision of what you wanted it to be. And now you had this vision stuck in your head. Well, imagine when you're 7 years old, even though you're an old soul, even though you've been here before and all that, right? Depending on where you live or your parents or the programming around you, whatever was happening, the way you saw the world through those eyes are not the way you see the world through your eyes today. So, is your wish and your change and your transformation just sitting there waiting for you? Are you pushing it away? Why are you pushing it away? You need to go to these places. And before you fall asleep, ask Spirit, where do I need to go today? Or where, whatever your languaging is, whatever your relationship is with them. Sometimes I'll say to Spirit, you know what? I'm really tired. My body's really, really, really tired, and I will beg them. And I wake up and I'm like, what the? And I don't know exactly what happened. I'm just exhausted. I'm just extremely exhausted. And I'm like, oh my gosh. That's why, some of you who've, my friends who we hang out, right? I felt like this flame wanted to come over here. How many times, because we're powerful light workers, we plan on seeing each other, and then one of us will be like, dude, I don't think I could do it today, even over Zoom. I've tried that, and I'm like, that's okay, because sometimes we have to go with the flow of the universe. Sometimes we have to, even now, watch. It's like they're changing this, like right before you. It's almost like they want you to see how much things can change in a second, right? Like, I can just keep changing the script all around here, right? So I'm getting the vibe like, yeah, they're like, flip the script and have fun with it. And you are going to have, they're saying right now, for some of you, yes, you are going to have fearful experiences. Of course you will, because that's why it's called our shadow work, right? But just know that when you're dealing with your shadow work, know that you're protected. I call on Archangel Michael. He's one of my fierce protectors, but whoever you like to talk to, it's different for everybody. But call on your guides, call on your protectors, say, hey, I need some help. I'm not really sure what's going on. And even now, I mean, it's very interesting that this one and the other card, right? Like both of them have like all this like kind of chaos and scatter around them. Do you see that? Like even her, like these are growing up around her. And this one, I mean, I feel like you guys are spirit guides. I'm a spirit guide too, which means like, so here in this world, I'm a spiritual guidance counselor. I work as a medium and I use my experiences and my soul knowledge to help others. But then when I'm sleeping, sometimes I'm traveling on my own, but then I also work as a spirit guide where I will be talking to I know it. I'm there and I'm like, this isn't me, but I'm here. I'm looking out for this person. Or you may be a seat filler. Maybe you pop in, you know, and you're like, how come I keep going to this world? It's like I have an identity there. It's like you do, right? But time is linear, you know. I mean, some of these people on these TikTok videos, I was talking about it in the beginning thing, where they were talking about, you know, traveling, interdimensional travel and all that. You know, they're like, 1 minute I was this and the next minute I was like somewhere else. It's like, yeah. And they're like, but it felt like I was there for years. That's what I'm saying. And I know it's freaky and weird, and it's like, what does it mean? Well, it's different for everybody, so I'm not going to try and tell you who you are. But anyway, I hope these messages helped you. And I also hope that Spirit has us, you know, really expound on this, because I think it's important. I think it's cool that people are talking about it. So many people on the TikTok thing were saying, I'm so glad somebody, you know, talked about this, and now they're kind of going viral. They've been going viral for a few days, apparently. So, you know, obviously people are waking up at an even faster rate. So hang in there. You're not alone. Oh, I got the chills. You are not alone. Spirit is with you all the time. Call on your guides. Call on all of them to help you. You are not alone, but also you have free will. So they cannot dive in unless it's in your spirit contract that they can. There are some that when you're like, whoa, shit, I almost got hit, you know, like somebody saved you. Yeah. Like, because you weren't supposed to die that day, right? We all get our head in the clouds, no matter what dimension or body or existence that we're in. All right, you guys, I love you so much. All of my information is in the description box below, and I'll see you next time. Blessed be. Aho. Bye. Welcome, pal number 2. I'm just going to call you my gracious Leos, because, you know, I love me some Leo, especially when I want to have a good time. And as you can see, your card is back here. In the back. I kept trying to put it in front. I kept trying to bring it forward. And I kept hearing, tomorrow, tomorrow, I love ya. Tomorrow, you're always a day away. Or only a day away. But I'm feeling some heavy procrastination energy. Also, you know, your Leos, I mean, if you, I don't know what the other piles are going to be, because this is pile number 2. I think I said pile number 2, welcome pile number 2, but it was just like, you know, if you saw the card already, you know, or if you chose pile number 2, if you didn't notice, that actually, when I was practicing tarot, because I am a medium, but I didn't use any visual aids. I just worked as a straight up medium. And, when I was, you know, when it came into my path, this deck was the one that Spirit wanted me to work with first. And so I thought a good practice would be that I would write on the back of the card so I would know, you know, what it was. So it's interesting. It's also in reverse, but you chose strength. But it's in reverse. But here it is. This is you. This is you, beautiful Leos. Now, even if you're not a Leo, I have a feeling you have a strong Leo placement in your chart. And I highly recommend, if you haven't looked into your chart, cafeastrology.com, I think it is free. And I think it's under natal chart or something. But I'm also hearing like digestion, like you guys, like your stomach, you're not eating right, or something's going on with your diet that's making you feel really off. I'm hearing not eating anything 3 hours before bed. I know that can seem like a long time, but you know, just make sure that your last meal that you eat something, you know, really good that's gonna stay with you, right? And teas, like you can have tea or something like that, but like no protein shakes, no, you know, like it's not about that. It's like trying to let your body kind of calm down before going to bed. Because I'm hearing for some of you guys, you're having nightmares, night terrors. And even there, I mean, look at this sweet little angel right here. I'm going to come in closer. I'm going to mess with the lighting a little bit so I can, in a good way. I'm going to manipulate the lighting in a good way so we can see it. See the details. Look at the heart at the end of that lion's tail. It's actually really interesting. If you're drawn to pile number 1, you may want to go watch that one as well. But there's a lot of similarities here. Yeah, I mean, you guys have beautiful hearts. I'm getting a lot of fairy energy. And look at the crown on their head and that sweet fairy. And the lion loves her, trusts her. But look at, she's got a little crescent moon there. So I'm getting the vibe you guys get insomnia a lot, or maybe you stay up because you don't want to go to sleep. Oh, my loves, I love you so much right now. Yeah, and the lion's like, well, come with me and I'll take you away. But yeah, sometimes when we're going through something really difficult, I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out. But when we're going through something, but we don't want to face it, sometimes we do the opposite of what we actually need because look at that lights flickering, you powerful, powerful light workers. Sometimes we do the opposite of what we need because maybe we're rebelling against something, or maybe we're not ready to face something. And that's what I'm getting from you guys, is that you need to face it. And and if you're not a Leo, it could just be that the Leo is calling out to you, right? Because this is actually the strength card, which is also the number 8, and 8 is all about infinity. So I also decided to, in the book, they have names, and I'm going to read from the book for you guys. And we have Patience is the name of the beautiful creature. So maybe that spirit, telling you to be a little more patient with your path. And then Intrepid is their lion with their flying lion companion. Okay. So it was in reverse though. So we're going to read the reverse meaning first. I brought in like all of my, you notice all my fun sparklies. I wanted you guys to feel loved and sparkly and special, because you are. And Spirit saying, we all have that time in our lives where we don't, look at that. I'm just going to leave it. They told me to leave it. Where we don't feel as strong as we'd like to, right? So I'm going to bring it down a minute. Oh, okay, look, it's moving by itself. Oh, and I'm going to bring the light up just a little bit because look at, oh no, you want me to bring it down. Okay, because they're saying, look at the light under your butt. It's like, that when people are like, dude, I don't shoot rainbows at my ass. Spirit's like, you actually do. You have the kind of energy that you're so beautiful so that's why I said the Leo. So you may not be a Leo, but you have an energy like a Leo that's just really exuberant and really beautiful and out there, in the most beautiful way out there, right? Like maybe you're always told you're too much, and you've had to be strong while people made fun of you or bullied you. You've had relationships with animals, with other energies and entities from all over the universe. Like you've been feeling them forever. And you're not wrong. So let's get to your card. Okay, so in reverse, it says dependency, mistrust, and fear of facing a situation. Yeah, and that's what they're saying. Like, they got your back. I know it looks like they're under your butt, but they really, like, Spirit's got your back. But, sometimes you can't see them, right? Like, if I go really light, like, sometimes you can't see them, but they see you. They're shining the light bright, right? They're sending you a powerful lion. Maybe it is an actual, cat, or maybe it is a person that's like a lion to protect you. Because when you're not feeling so strong on your own, Spirit says call on other energies and people in human form to help you, especially if you don't understand a situation. So I'm going to read the upright too, and it says compassion, patience, balance, healing, and strength. Patience embraces a winged lion named Intrepid, who is the physical manifestation of her inner beast and inner strength. Fear and anger are replaced with compassion and creativity. The stars twinkle in recognition of the strength of love. With patience, you'll triumph over challenges that lie ahead, while maintaining calmness. Ride out the storm and face your fears. Do not give up when you're so close to getting through a trying situation. Have faith in your ability to endure, and you'll come out stronger from the experience. Through it all, you will be where you're supposed to be, and it'll be for the best. Yeah, I mean, who knows what's going on with these interdimensional travel, time travel. Like, we're all starting to be like, does any of this mean anything? Does any of this make sense? Is any of this real? The questioning just proves that you're actually further along in this process than you realize. Keep questioning. Write down your dreams. I'm hearing from Spirit, like, dream journaling is really good for you right now. Look at this. You got the 10 of Cups, but another one in reverse. So, and look at how they're like twins, right? They kind of mirror each other, but they're not exact twins, are they? Right? Like, you can see that there's similar similarities, but there's a lot of differences. Look at how different their ears are, how different their noses are. You are not alone. You're not a freak, you're not a weirdo. Or if you are, like, I'm a freak and a weirdo, but I love it. You know what I mean? So if I say it to you, I'm saying it with all due respect, that you're so special, and that whatever you're seeing, feeling, thinking is true and is real, and you are not crazy. If you have found yourself to this channel, if this is the first time you've ever even seen a reading, this is your communication from your higher self and the spirit realm, and the universal energies telling you you're not crazy. If you can think it, it's real. And I know it goes very much in multi-dimensional layers, but see how it's grounded. They've got this, they're like, hooray, 10 of cups, because 10s are all about completion. But if you take away the 0, it's about a brand new beginning. Number 1, you're starting the cycle all over again. So they're excited, but so this is merry and mirth. But when it's in reverse, right? They're kind of floating in the air. They're not grounded. It's uncertain. They could be floating through the air, but they have to believe that they're going to land, and they're going to land safely. If you didn't watch the messages from Spirit before this, I highly recommend you do. Because Spirit, I love how they just like make it stick there. It's awesome. Thank you, Moss. Thank you, Feathers. Thank you, Little Branch. Hold on, Spirit's channeling. They told me to look at the top. Okay, so let's get in there. Let's look at the top. Let's look at the top. What do you see? Now, cups are all about emotions. And I'm hearing there was this old song from the 80s I love called, she's like, 'cause I'm all cried out over you. So there's a lot of heartbreak, a lot of love lost. That's why the 10 of Cups is in reverse for you. I feel like you guys have sacrificed a lot. You've sacrificed your merry and mirth. Like, those are their names, right? But it's like you've sacrificed your happiness. And maybe for some of you, like, they're having me like show the fire on one side and the crystal. Like, maybe you had it all, or maybe you have it all now and you're like, but I don't want to give up my creature comforts. I don't want to blah blah. But they're like, well, your dreams and everything's going to keep coming to you until you like finally, like, you know, pull your shit together. Sometimes we put ourselves into a reality that isn't ours. It doesn't belong to us. Or maybe, you know, we were there, but it was only supposed to be temporary. Are you outstaying your welcome somewhere, in another dimension, in another time, in another space? Are you feeling exhausted because you're living multiple lives? And you're like, what is happening? How do I bring this together? So when it's in reverse, it says loss of friendship, quarrels, and becoming antisocial. Yeah, so maybe you're, and maybe for some of you, it's like, this is just like a version of you, but like, you talk to yourself a lot because you don't like to be around people. You know, you're like the hermit. You're more like the hermit. And that's okay, because maybe that's where you're supposed to be right now. So when it's upright, it says harmony, abundance, community, elation, and achievement. Performing a dance of happiness, merry and mirth, open-heartedly enjoy life with gratitude. 7 cup flowers hanging from the heavens and 3 spiraling up from the ground emit a powerful sense of harmony. Their hearts' laughter flows in an infinite stream as they share their joy with one another. With the blossoming of long-lasting happiness and love in spiritual matters, things are unfolding as they should be. Maintain your sense of fulfillment by sharing what you've learned with others. And it could be that you need to change the whole scenery. Because, you know, I was getting this musical vibe from the beginning, right? Like, this was a production, like it was a show, and look at them, they're dancing. This almost reminds me of like another time and place, you know, like, you know, back in the 40s and 30s and stuff, when they did the big productions with the big feathers that they would, you know, as their, you know, accompaniment or whatever. What would you call it? You know, I feel like you guys are lost in the matrix. Let's see if there's any more cards that want to come through. Let's see. Oh, shit. This one just like came right. Ooh, another one in reverse. So we got the Star card. It's also Aquarius. So we are in the age of Aquarius, yes, but we are in Aquarius energy right now. Whenever you watch this, it's timeless, but in real time, it's February 15th, 2022. We're right before this really powerful full moon in Leo. There's so many energies going around. Ooh, because Leo is like in your face, in your face. Leos are like, I'm here. It's like everybody's dancing. They're like, well, get out of here. It's me, all about me. I'm the star. I'm the star. I mean, come on. It's so perfect. I love it so much right now. I could cry. And I know that it's supposed to be in reverse, but like, I love when Spirit has me act it out because, you know, I will show up for that. I'm all about it. Ooh. So let's get a little bit closer. So we're looking at, that is number, it's also number 17, which is the number 8. Was that you guys? And was that the other pile? There was an 8 somewhere. Oh, that was the beginning. Yes, at the beginning, strength. So, you know, in order for you guys to get to where you need to be, you know, you need to be the star of the show. It's time for it is time, but you got to face some shit. This beautiful star's name is Vega. And I think it's interesting that look how on here we've got a crescent moon, and then on her bottom, right, like on her hip there, not her bottom, but on her hip, we've got another crescent moon. But look at how it is. Like, I mean, that's pretty profound, you guys. Well, we got the sun and the moon, though. See how balanced she is? But it was in reverse. So in order for you guys to achieve these goals that you want to achieve, you have got to face your demons, whether it's in your sleep state, whether it's in meditation, you know, whether it's in person. Maybe your dimensional energies, or I don't know what they're going to have me title this as. I really don't know, because it's kind of all over the place, because everything's all over the place right now energetically. But I'm getting for you guys, like, you know, in order for things to come together. Also, this is a peacock down here, I believe. It kind of, does that look like a peacock to you guys? Let me see. Looks like a peacock to me. Because that's been coming up a lot, too. I think they're cute little wedgies. I mean, this is such a great card. This is such a great card. And look at, she's got her eyes up to the stars, right? She's got her eye on the prize right above her head. She's like, I'm manifesting. I'm going to manifest the shit out of my life. And Spirit's saying, you are the master manifester. You can. You absolutely can. But you got to work through some of these energies first. You've got the strength to do it. You know, and the emotions, the fact that the emotions are coming through is really powerful too. And it's interesting. I like how we've got on either side, we've got 2 and 2, and then like 1 in the middle. If you didn't watch the bird messengers, I forget what moon reading it was, but you can't miss it. It's got feathers on it to choose, but go and check it out in my list there. I don't have any playlists right now. I'm still kind of moving my page around, but isn't this interesting? I mean, come on. What does this tell you? And interesting that they were all in reverse. I mean, I shuffled them. The other piles weren't like that, you know, like they're trying to tell you something. They're saying, wake up. So I'm going to go to the book. Hold on. Okay. So it was in reverse, and it says discouragement and dwelling on negativity and poor choices. Are you self-sabotaging yourself? You know, this year, 2022, I was channeled, Spirit gave me the message that this is the year for self-care. So you have got to take care of yourself. So when the card's in upright, it's rejuvenation, harmony, faith, enlightenment, and wisdom. Filled with glittering faith, Vega meditates on the star of serenity. She is grateful for her increasing sense of fulfillment as she makes continual progress toward her goals. Vega renews both the subconscious and the material world with her pitchers of water, one holding the sun's energy and the other holding the moon's energy. The ladybug, a symbol of trust, whispers messages of happiness in her ear. Hope emerges from the darkness, illuminating your path of enlightenment like a star. Your journey dawns light on the universe within, and your inspired heart increases your intuitive abilities. Follow the light of the star, for it will lead you back to the right path. Have faith in your inner divinity and the powers of universal spirit. And I think that just says it all, you guys. So those are your messages. I hope they helped you in any way. And all of my information is in the description box below. And I'll see you next time. Blessed be. Oh, bye. Welcome, pile 3. I kept trying to put your card out, but they were leaving this kind of like almost like minimalist view here. Although it's not, right? It's kind of shiny and pretty, but I just kind of feel this very angel, this earthly angel vibe from you guys. And I feel like your connections are actually good. I feel like you guys have a really strong connection to spirit. I am feeling some darkness, like a little bit of self-sabotaging in your human life. And I feel like if you are having like quote unquote nightmares or dreams, I feel like the repetitive nature of them is your own doing. It's something that it's like an old energy or an old part of you. It's residual is what Spirit's saying. It's like residual energy from another time, another place. It doesn't exist here. And they said most of you already know what they're talking about, and you have to let it go. For some of you, I feel like I'm not saying that the reading you got about your past life was wrong. I just think that some of you have this vision of who you think you are or who you think you were. And it's not that it's wrong. It's just, I feel like you don't have all the details, or maybe you haven't gone all the way like into, when I looked down to, it was like 9, 10, it was like, bam, 1 hour and 11 minutes and 11 seconds. So you guys definitely have a tie to the angel realm, but I definitely feel like somebody told you something, or you saw a reading or something happened. And this may not resonate with all of you, but this is definitely a message for one person for sure, that you have been holding on to for too long, and Spirit's saying you have to let it go. In fact, this calcite kind of looks like a heart. I love this cool shape. But at the bottom, there's like a portal. And I feel like somehow in your dream state, you're like slipping in and out of these kind of energies that are really unhealthy for you. But I think you believe they are good for you. And it's not like they're giving you like, you don't know who you are. It's not about that. It's just like, you're now this like butterfly. You don't have to keep going to that cocoon, so to speak. I was wondering why they wanted me to keep that there. Because each one has been so different. Each pile has had its own little set, so to speak. But yeah, I feel like for you guys, like maybe you find a lot of feathers, or you're really connected to like, the bird realm or those kind of energies, butterflies, dragonflies, anything that flies. I feel like you guys are really connected to that. However, they're saying you need to kind of course correct your narrative. And the only way to do that is to go into meditation. And, sometimes we'll have like this view of ourselves where we're like, oh, we believe something to be true, right? We're like, oh, that's the truth, or that's the way, I see it. That's the way I feel. Now they're having me kind of like take this apart a little bit and make it a little more simplistic. But, it could just be an old part of a story, and they just don't want you to keep giving yourself that narrative anymore. And in meditation, you'll get it. And what I was trying to say is that sometimes I have that happen where I will have like a total belief. Like I was convinced for the longest time I was an Arcturian. Everybody I read for, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're in my tribe. You must be Arcturian, And then like piece by piece, we're like, well, I don't know if we are, but we just like knew we definitely had some connection to that energy or whatever. But it's easy to get ourselves attached to something. And Spirit's saying that they want you to look at things from another perspective, right? Because just like that can look like a heart, it can also just as easily look like a little, cave. Looks like a cave in there. Can look like a mountain. Can look like a trail, right? One imagery can give you a lot of different stories, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's your story or your medicine. And it could just be an old version of who you are. So this is your card, the Ace of Coins. Now, I don't remember if this was in reverse or upright, but either way, we're going to start with it upright. Because look at how it's like the heavens are pouring down to her all of these gifts, hearts, stars, and oh, my throat chakra. I feel like someone's trying to choke me. Stop trying to choke me. Goodness gracious. Woo! I'm going to start upside down because somebody needs to look at this from another perspective. Or is she the angel flying through the air, and she likes to fly upside down with her little mouse friend, and is she putting the love and the magic out into the universe? And maybe this is where the universe begins for her. There is no start or stop to the universe. Nobody knows. For your homework, pile number 3, this is the first pile this has come through. Your homework is to watch Contact with Jodie Foster. Even if you've seen it 100 times, I'm asking you to watch it again. I watched it recently in the last, I don't know, probably year or so. And it's just mind-boggling how much more I looked at it like in such an open way. And if you've never seen it, I don't want to give anything away. So it's called Contact. It's from Carl Sagan. It's based on Carl Sagan's book, and it was turned into a movie with Matthew McConaughey and Jodie Foster. There's a lot of really great actors in it, actually. So, you know, it's all about perspective. And I think you guys are struggling because you're multidimensional travelers. You don't have like a home per se. I almost kind of feel like look at how she has her cute little mouse friend, you know. It's like I feel like, you know, maybe you guys have a familiar right now, or maybe you don't, or maybe you need to get an animal. Maybe that would help you. But I feel like you guys are that kind of, you know, time traveler where like you're cool as long as you have like a little pet or a little friend or familiar or somebody that's going to come with you. I feel like you're struggling because look at that. It's the Ace of Coins. Ace is number 1. It's new beginnings, but it's also number 1, solo, nobody else, just you. So, you know, I really feel like whatever is going on with you, it's time for you to spread your wings and fly. I mean, look at how, I find this interesting. Look at how her wings, right, are like there and there. Today I'm blessed enough to live by a beautiful orchard, and I was looking out my window and I was watching all the different birds, and they were making me laugh. And there's a lot of baby birds coming out. It's been really, really, or I should say they're like young birds, you know, and just watching them play with each other, the woodpeckers and the robins. It was super sweet. But I was thinking about how many times I've had dreams, quote unquote, where I would fly, but I never flew like flapping my arms. It was like, I remember one time in one of my quote unquote dreams or wherever I was, I brought like all my friends and family into this church. And it was like a really, really old church, but an old small church, right? Like that maybe only holds like 50 people. But all the pews were out and nothing was there, but you could tell it was a church, and it had a really high ceiling where the steeple went up to, and the light was shining in so beautifully, and all of a sudden these lights turned into like angels, and they were flying around, and everybody was like, oh, my family. And I just like kind of like lifted off the ground and started just kind of like Superman with my hands out in front of me and flying. And I was like, but when I first lifted myself off the ground, I just raised up the ground and I had my arms down, like almost like Jesus, like my palms facing down towards them. And I was just like, yeah, I can fly, you guys. I'm like, I didn't want to freak you out, but I'm like, the angel said it was okay. And I just remember like trying to tell them that it was okay and that I wasn't crazy and that I wasn't a freak or a weirdo, because they always thought I was a freak and a weirdo. And now I'm realizing that all of these things that I'd pushed down, these beliefs in myself and these beliefs in the solar system, the universal energies, and the government and all that's like everything, you know, is coming to be. And I've been having this kind of like clash of consciousness because I knew that it was real my whole life, but I was programmed by my family, my schools, my church, all of that growing up in a very right-wing Republican Christian background, right? Like my family, they were, some were Democrats, but it was definitely more of like this heavy-handed, like, you know, that's crazy, stop acting crazy, shh, don't tell people that, they'll think we're crazy. And I'm getting the vibe that you guys went through that as well. So it may be time for you to like pull away from them, you know, because all of these places that you're going, or maybe in your dream state, you know, because I get the vibe you guys are okay. Like when you're in your dream state, you're all right. But I will say this. I'm gonna bring up the cards, because coins, you know, are pentacles. It's about being grounded too. And see how like how she's got one foot touching the earth, and then she's got like her arms out and her other foot is like raised off the ground, but still she's like, at any moment she looks like she's about to take flight. And spirit's like, if you believe you can, then you will. And they want you to start believing that anything is possible. So today I was talking to the birds and I'm like, I think if I went outside right now I could fly. I just convinced myself, I'm like, I could fly. And now I'm like in this place where I'm like, you know what? I know I'm gonna fly. I'm gonna fly somehow, some way. I'm gonna fly, whether it's in this dimension or another one. Because it could be that maybe in this dimension, you know, like I remember one time I worked with one of my friends' children who was convinced she was a fairy, and she's like, you know, you got to talk to her. And then when she met me, she could see that I was like her, and she's like, Mom, she's like me, she's like me. And she's like, oh, you know, great. She's like, it's gonna make it worse. And I was like, no, I'm like, she recognizes that, you know, because my friend's like that too, right? But she didn't want to see that in herself yet. She wasn't ready to see her magic yet. So it was like, you know, she bought into it for us because she wants her daughter to be happy and healthy. But at the same time, her daughter was like, we were playing a game and I was putting glitter on her back, and she was like, do you think my fairy wings will come out? You think? And I'm like, yeah, they will. I'm like, just concentrate really hard, you know. And I was being fun with her, and then she was doing it so hard that I was like, oh my God, stop, because she literally looked like she was going to burst a blood vessel. And then I was like, well, be careful. And she's like, but you said. I'm like, I know. And then I was like, okay, I got to be really careful with the littles, you know. Just when I think I know a lot about kids, right? I was like, you know, she isn't a kid. It didn't matter that she was 5. It's because it's like she was still trying to figure out what she's doing here and why she's here. And she just, in the most beautiful, sad little voice said, why can't we fly here? And I said, I don't know. Wherever this place is, whatever, you know. And it was interesting because when she got real with me, I got real back with her. And it was kind of cool because I feel like no matter how, I don't talk to her mom anymore. I don't, you know, whatever. So I don't know what's going to happen, but all I can hope is that that seed was planted, that she knows that she's absolutely not crazy. There's nothing wrong with her. She's just was still fresh, and she remembers that she can fly. She remembers. So if you guys are feeling like that, you're not alone. Look at all the beautiful flowers. Let's get up a little bit closer. Look at all those beautiful flowers, right? Let me bring the light in a little bit and get it up. And I want to, there we go, so you can see that. Also, I wrote on the cards because I thought their names were so cute. So we have Fortuna, so fortune, Fortuna, is the name of this beautiful deity, this angel-like creature. And then their friend is Strive. And so Ace of Coins is also like, you know, if you want to strive for a better future for yourself and your family, then you have to believe that you have the magic in you. And don't let anyone else tell you that, you know, you're crazy or there's something wrong with you, because there's nothing wrong with you. You're perfectly, awesomely, beautifully imperfect, and that's the way you're supposed to be. Hold on. There we go. Sorry, I was trying to get in a different direction for you, but that's the way they want it, and I don't fight, right? But you're seriously beautiful just the way you are. So the reverse is fear in beginning a new project, misused wealth, and a false sense of security. But when it's an upright position, it says opportunity, abundance, reward, productivity, and creativity. Fortuna embarks upon new areas of development and growth. She gratefully accepts opportunities from the universe, all while keeping at least 1 foot planted on the ground, letting her common sense guide her to success. Fortuna's wings begin to spread, giving her a lightness of being. Her fairy mouse companion Strive guides her. Go forth responsibly and accept gifts in the form of opportunities. When you're productive, these gifts are a sign that there is a great potential and abundance within you and right at your reach. By making the most of opportunities, you're creating your own reality. Yes, so you're creating your own reality. You don't have to buy into, anybody else's, what they believe or what they think. I'm going to shuffle these. Oh, they said, no, don't. Okay, so if you were drawn to any of the other piles, I highly suggest you go and look at them. But this is the Strength card. It's also Leo in the tarot deck, and it's the number 8. So again, look at that, a companion. That's why this card came in. I was wondering, why. And they're saying, like, if you have a companion with you, then you won't be afraid. I've had people who are like, I can't have an animal where I live. I'm like, then you need to live somewhere else. They're like, but I love my apartment. I'm like, you'll love your new apartment. And you'll love your new apartment with your new best friend. It's sometimes we have to, I'm going a little bit dark for a second. Sometimes we have to let go of what no longer serves us and have the strength to motivate ourselves to start new, right? It's like, this is you, right? Like, this is like you, this is like a visual of you as a child. And then you as, I feel like this is like the maiden and the mother, right? So, and that's just a representation of the feminine energy. It doesn't necessarily mean, that it is in the direction of the maiden mother crone. It's just a representation that I feel is, I kind of feel like Spirit saying, if you can get in touch with this part of you, this part of your creativity, this part of you, all of this from your childhood, when you believed that everything was impossible. Oh, damn. Did you hear that Freudian slip? So some of you grew up in a world where you were told that things weren't possible. Well, you know what? They are. The 7 of coins. And it may take you a minute to get there. And you may need a little help from a friend. And look, they've got fairy wings too. But you'll get there. See how that seed is planted in the ground? I mean, look at this. If you've seen the other piles or you're drawn to any other piles, I highly suggest you go watch them. But I don't want to give too much away, but this is really kind of cool. You've got the Ace of Coins and the 7 of Coins. And they're saying they get it. You're going to need all the strength you can possibly muster, right? You're going to need all the strength you can possibly muster to get it going. They want me to have you, they're going to put it in like a little story. But you've got to get it going. You got to get it going. And they're saying that you know what they're talking about. So we've got the Ace of Coins there. Oh, yeah. She's saying, like, have you guys ever seen The Outsiders? The original Outsiders movie with Ralph Macchio and, like, the Brat Pack boys? When they're like, do it for Johnny, man, do it for Johnny. Well, they're saying it's time for you to take a risk, start a new venture. The money will be there. Stop concerning yourself about the whens, the hows, the woos, the whys, none of that. Just don't concern yourself with that because it doesn't matter. But they're saying, do it for your inner child. If not for you, do it for your inner child. And maybe it could even be that you're doing it for your children. I'm hearing like writing. You've been thinking about writing a book or doing something, and they're saying, yes. That's where your money's going to come from. And you have to have the strength to hold on because it's going to take patience, right? Because look at this. We've got a little seed right there. Do you see that little seed, the heart? It's going to grow into a tree, but they want you to focus on planting the seed, right? And what does that say? Their names are gratitude and honor. So be grateful and thankful for the process because it's in the hardships that we really become our true self. That's where we really, that's where our strength comes in. And look at this. I have this Queen of Diamonds card that a friend had given me. Look at this. And they're saying this is going to be your outcome. But, right, you've got to do all of these things first. The Queen of Diamonds will be right, like this is who you are. It's who you've always been. She's going to be sitting there right there with her beautiful crystal behind her, on her throne. There's a lot of feminine energy here. So even if, if you are identified male, It doesn't matter. This is about finding that inner like goddess, finding that divine feminine, finding your inner child. And maybe if you are watching this and you're, quote unquote male identified, it could be too that like when you were that age, like you wanted to be a girl, or like maybe you felt like a girl, or you wanted to dress up and they're like, no, that's gay, or you're queer, stop doing that, blah blah blah. And you're like, there are straight quote unquote men who like to have sex with women who also like to wear dresses and dress like women, but they also like to be men. It's like, and there are people, right? My mom always said there's a lid for every bowl, right? So it's like a pot for every lid, meaning like there are so many people out there that are going to love you just for who you are. So be who you are and step out of your comfort zone. That's a big one, as we're in a lot of this heavy node energy right now. And look at that. Look at how the Making Magic deck above to the right there, the above of 7 of coins. Look at that. Isn't that interesting? I'm going to go to 7 of coins. Hold on. So this says reward, recognition, contemplation, evaluation, and perseverance. A pair of fairy deer, gratitude and honor, planted a tiny seed and nurtured their tree through its stages of growth. Their seed has grown into a bountiful monument of beauty and grace. They gaze at their tree, contemplating the rewards of their hard work. As ideas grow, they develop, and the outcome can bring great bounty, giving a sense of purpose and accomplishment. In the midst of working toward your goals, enjoy the process by reconnecting with your original content. Also, I like to read the reverse meaning as well, and it says unexpected setbacks, confusion regarding how to proceed, and impatience. And, I feel like take that for what it is for your story, right? All of this, obviously, but if you've had setbacks or if you've been confused on how to proceed, wait, the answers will come. Don't force it. This is the time to have some gratitude, patience, because your fortune is already there. Look, it's like there's no timeline, right? We were talking about dimensional travel and all that. It's like we're starting to realize like all that shit is breaking down. Those paradigms are breaking down, and people are starting to see that, the realities of like time travel, and that time doesn't really exist, and then it's a man-made, construct, and yada yada yada. If you didn't watch the beginning of this Messages from Spirit, I highly recommend you watch it. If not, I will see you next time. I hope this helped you in any way, beautiful pile 3. I love you so much, my sweet fairy angels. All my information is in the description box below, and I'll see you next time. Blessed be. Oh, bye. Welcome, pile number 4. So I don't know about your dimensional travel stuff, but I will tell you this, that as I was putting this together just now, in fact, they're asking me to scoot this over just a bit. Okay. I heard beautiful Mr. Rogers sing, "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please won't you be my neighbor?" Hello, neighbor. Oh my goodness. So you guys pulled the 2 of Cups. It's in reverse, okay? So I've explained this in some of the other piles, but when I started to get serious about using visual aids as a medium, Spirit brought tarot into my life. Now, it had been in my life before, but this time it came back into my life more in the essence of the tarot, like very ancient, old medicine. Look at this card. Oh my gosh, can we just talk about these owls and the spiral of life in the tree branch? I mean, there's so much going on right now. So yeah, love thy neighbor. So I'm hearing you guys are having problems. Like I just saw somebody like kind of like beating on a wall or ceiling or something. They're like, shut up. I have a feeling you guys are really struggling where you're living. Really powerful empaths I'm getting from this pile. Empaths, intuition, really deep spiritual growth from you guys. Like really deep spiritual growth. I'm really proud of you. First of all, Spirit wants me to say they're proud of you, but also on these cards, they had me draw on some of them. And when I was learning the card, I decided to write down keywords. It's the 2 of Cups, but they have names on them. And it's Allie and Kin. Hi, Allie. We have an Allie in our tribe. So it was in reverse. So I'm going to read what Spirit had me put on there from the book. And it says, unsatisfactory love, a troubled relationship, and rivalry. Wow, okay, that's heavy. Rivalry. Now, okay, so let's look at it when it is upside down. Let's really get in there and see what we're looking at. Unless they don't want you to. And to be honest, it might not have been because it won't let me. So we're gonna leave it right side up then. Because I'm like, I don't fight. See what I mean? I'm like, yeah, no. There's a reason for it. Wow. Okay, so we're talking about nobility. This came into another pile, but they wanted me to leave it here and put it right here in the background. So there's something going on with you guys where I think wherever you are traveling to, because I do feel like you guys astral travel, definitely witches. Like, I feel like some of you have nightmares of like being killed or murdered, and they're kind of like, oh, it's like a snapshot. It's almost like you're getting a snapshot of something that happened to you. But instead of just like seeing the snapshot, it's like you're just like really, really getting close. You just want to look at it up close. You're like, what's going on there? What's happening? And Spirit's like, you don't need to see it that up close right now. And I think some of you are kind of like, even though we just spoke about in the other reading, like that, or was it in this one? I don't know. It's all cramming together. That there is no such thing as time. I feel like yes and no in terms of like when we're going through an awakening process, it does help for us to go through this thing, to go through this thing, to go through this thing, to get to this thing, because we can't really go from, boom and like bam over, it's like you don't go from here to here. It's like you have to go, there, because when you jump from there to there, you're going to miss a lot of the shit in between. So they're saying, I feel like you guys are almost like practicing alchemy or something. And not that it's a bad thing per se, like if you're a natural witch or whatever, like you're doing it, you don't even realize you're doing it. But at the same time, you're kind of, when we do things that aren't meant to happen at that time, we have to remember that it's like the butterfly effect. And it affects the whole entire time space continuum. And that's why they don't want people to, time travel, astral travel. That's why they've tried to keep us like kind of like zombies for all these years, right? Like, in this slave planet mentality. If you didn't watch the reading for the tribe at the beginning, I highly recommend you watch it when you have some time, because it was very interesting. But it just goes to show like they don't want us to go beyond any type of trains of thought, because they want us to keep feeding the machine, the slave planet. They want to keep feeding the machine. Some believe that they're, from a different alien race who are controlling us. Some people think that, it's just a different form of us. And, some people think it's us coming back in time, trying to correct things, but it's interesting. I spoke about at the beginning of this, how when I was watching these videos from this TikTok creation thing, about how people were talking about, have you ever had a time travel experience or like a dimensional experience or whatever? I forgot the way she worded it. I'll put it below. It'll be in the description below. I'll put a link to go watch it. But it just goes to show that, like, everybody's reality is what they believe that it is. And so if your intuition and your bullshit barometer is like high up and you're like, this isn't real or this isn't blah, 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 it's like, you're probably right. But I feel like you're not feeding into your intuition as much as you should. And I feel like you're too concerned about whether you're doing it right, which there's no such thing, or whether you're like kind of keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak. I'm going to kind of get more light on those owls. So I'm going to read from the book because I love the interpretations in this book. So the keywords are unity, connection, communication, honesty, and cooperation. It says, a pair of owls named Allie and Ken celebrate the establishment of their union. Standing together on a coiled branch, they hold either end of a garland of harmony and love. Their cups are overflowing with the waters of communication. When you meld with someone else or with a new project, spiritual riches are obtained and lessons are learned. Spirit wants me to stop right there because also waters mean dream state, So when you're in your dream state, and you're melding into that. They're saying, don't get too lost in it. Like some of those people, like the girl's like, I'm telling you, I lived that life for a year and then I woke up here. I'm like, I totally believe her. And I believe that it did feel like it was a year, or maybe it was a year. Maybe she came back to this reality. You know, it's like, that's the thing. It's like our intuition are the waters of our mind. Does that make sense? So it's like, and look at how the water is like flowing. It's overflowing out, you know. But also if we did put it in reverse, you know, it's like you can look at it as if, you know, the water is, you know, holding the bowl back, right? Like the water is actually holding the bowl. If you look at it from that reality, that perspective, right? Like if we didn't see the owls and we just saw, here, let me pull the light back a little bit, right? If we didn't see the owls and all we saw was the water and the bowls and that branch, look at it now from that perspective. You know, it really is in the way we look at things, and all these paradigms are shifting. You know, energies are breaking down and changing, and people are freaking the fuck out. And they're like, you know, so many people were saying, I'm so glad people are talking about this, because most people, you know, are keeping quiet. They don't want to be crazy, but they need us. They need us. We all need to speak our truth and tell people like they're not crazy. So this says, when you meld with someone else or with a new project, spiritual riches are obtained and lessons are learned, right? So in the dream state, in our emotional state, is where we really learn the lessons, right? You wake up and you're like, what a weird fucking dream. And then like later you're like, oh, that makes so much sense in my dream, right? Because it could be your subconscious, it could be your astral traveling. There's so many things that could be happening when you're in the quote unquote dream state. So this says, confidence and certainty will open your heart to others without hesitation. Be certain you make the best choices and communicate with clarity and truth. And if it were in reverse, it would say a troubled relationship, unsatisfactory love, and rivalry. So I think it was in reverse. So, you know, that could be what's going on with you too. You know, maybe you're just not seeing eye to eye with your partner, and maybe you're trying to explain to them like this dream state, and they're like, dude, you're losing your mind. And you're like, I'm not losing my fucking mind, and I'm not crazy, and don't tell me I'm crazy. Like, you know, I had something with my partner the other day where I was like, just because you don't understand it, it's like my reality and your reality are not the same. I'm like, that doesn't make yours wrong and mine right, or vice versa, right? So the 5 of Wands, and fives are all about change and transformation. Look at that fighting. I feel like this is you, like you're like this magnanimous, is that the word? Like you're just this powerful like being, and you're like, you know, and you're like, but I just want to be a tree. I'm just like, you're like loving the earth, you're rooted, you're grounded, and then you've got somebody coming at you, right? Because maybe you're a mirror for somebody, and they're like, meh, and you're dumb, or you're both. Isn't that interesting too, that we've got two energies that are fighting each other? And even though these two aren't necessarily fighting each other, the owls, they're definitely like, you know, they're kind of looking at each other, but their bodies are not facing each other. It's like they're not on the same page. However, I do get the vibe that this could change if this would stop. And this is you, like you're the Queen of Diamonds, and you're like, I can make all the money in the world if they would just let me, right? If you just let me. You know that song? I forget. Was it Beyonce? Was it from Dreamgirls? If you just let me, or something, right? It's like I feel like you're fighting everybody. And these two, their names are Rumble the Tree and Frey the Boy. So again, I feel like we're dealing with this kind of duality, like you're fighting for balance, and it's almost as if like your tree, right? And this is like a little piece of tree right here, but I feel like, you know, your spirit. Look at that; doesn't even want to stand up because she's like, I'm the queen and nobody covers me, ever. And that's not being like that you think you're better than anyone. It's just you saying, no, you can't. No, you cannot take my power. No, you cannot, you know, do this or that. Like, this is who I am, and this is who I was brought here to be, and you cannot allow somebody else to dictate that. And maybe it's in your dream state that you can talk to them. Oh my gosh, they're like flying out. Okay, and now we have the Page of Swords, but in reverse. So I'm going to show you his little feet. Now look at, he's firmly planted on the ground, right? But he's in reverse. So he's kind of hanging on for dear life. And the sword represents air signs too. So this could be, you know, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. We're in Aquarian energy now. I don't think this is going to break into 2 videos, but if it does and you feel like you want to hear more messages, then there'll be a link. Otherwise, hi Bubba. Bubba just came in. For any of those who know my cat, that's her way of saying howdy. But look at this. Again, they're like, hey, I got to do this on my own, right? And I feel like this is kind of sad, like, but we have this union, we have this beautiful relationship, and Spirit's like, yeah, but is it though? Because if you're always like this, how beautiful is it? I mean, how happy are you if you're constantly fighting someone, right? Just like I'm trying to fight to keep that up. If you're constantly fighting someone, how is that a happy relationship? If you're constantly at war with your significant other, this could actually be work too. Hold on. Page of Swords, pursuit.